This is Ken Pyle with VOD TV. We're at the Media and Innovation Summit, and we're here with Gary Arlen of Arlen Communications out in the Washington, D.C. area. Unfortunately, he's here in Hollywood with us. Gary, I can't help but notice, and especially because you told me about it, your button there, it says 2020, I can't wait. Tell us a little bit about that.
The wait goes on for the future. It's always going to be great next year. Here's what this is all about. Back in the 1980s, when I first got into this interactive racket, there were all these forecasts by 1990, by the end of that decade, there'd be 80% penetration of things, billions of dollars of revenue coming in. So I said, it's going to be that great. I can't wait for it to happen. I had a little button made up that said 1990, I can't wait. Well, the forecasts were wrong. When you came to my 1990 New Year's Eve party, you got a new button waiting for the next wave. And by then they were predicting a decade from now there'd be 85% penetration of electronic devices and homes would have all these new things worth billions of dollars. Every decade I've had a new button made up, and of course now that we're in 2010, I'm waiting for the year 2020. Because I see the forecasts already, and you probably see them too. It's going to be great.
It reminds me of a joke, but we won't go there. But it does remind me of yeah, edge of the bed. But that's another story. 2020, 2020. I can't wait. So, what are some of the things we can't wait for?
Well, one of the things we've been waiting for 30 years is for interactive television, and we did a panel here about interactive TV. And again, the promise is it's real this time. You know, it's all been expectations up till now, whether it's real or not. You know what the great part about forecasting is? Something happens, it's just the timing is wrong. And then of course along the way come some deal breakers. I mean, a decade ago no one even heard of Google, and now just about everybody knows Google runs the world, and they're running in fear in many cases of Google. So we're going to look at interactivity, we're going to look at mobility, which are all here right now. But you know, one of the great parts about looking for the next 10 years is my favorite movie. One of my favorite movies is Blade Runner, which happens to take place in 2019. Oh my gosh. And actually the movie was made in 1983. So at the time it seemed like a long time away. And of course now it's this decade. Close, yeah. And if you want to think about that movie, if you remember that movie, one of my favorite scenes in Blade Runner is the scene where the Harrison Ford character, the detective, uses a bunch of technology. He uses a voice-activated video database access, unlimited video library, on demand. He's calling in like 6 or 7 technologies that we've heard of for a long time. And the great part in that movie is it's just part of the way he lives and expects to operate.
And it's there now. And one of the things that will enable this, and it's funny you talked about Google, but you have a panel coming up here. I see your panelists are back there, but it's on cross-application platform development.
That's right. Well, that's a whole other issue. I mean, one of the things I've been working on for 20 years is this idea of convergence, not just convergence of mixing products together, but mixing platforms together and actually mixing all kinds of applications that really couldn't exist if it weren't for the digital platforms. This particular panel is going to be about development of content for cross-platform. And you know, it's a problem for some people is if you're making a movie, you expect it to be shown on a 60 or 70 foot screen, and now we're talking about showing it on a 3 or 5 or 9 inch screen, and you make shows differently for those two platforms.
As we're finding out doing the production we're doing here.
Well, you're an early adopter, an early mover in this business, but there's so much to wait for that I think it's going to be great. I just don't know what it is. But well, in 2020, we'll be there.
Well, and I like these badges because 2 reasons. One, a lot of things today don't come with user's manuals. Yeah. This does.
We have a user manual for that button.
And the other thing I found useful, I put on someone else's coat earlier today, but if I had just looked at it and seen the button, I wouldn't have done that.
Here, Ken, take a few extras for your friends.
Excellent.
Or for your other jackets.
Gary, thank you very much.
Okay, good to be here, Ken.